we just finished the interview with JoJo, and I asked him about the takeoff point. He's right here at the runway now. You know, for you guys watched him, you developed him, and you got him to the point where you felt that he was ready for this opportunity right here. So, with the win Saturday, what is the plan for JoJo?
Well, I'm in JoJo's case particularly, that from day one, coming out of the Olympics, I'm very grateful to his team, to him, for giving us that trust and confidence to take him step by step, step by step. A lot of times, sometimes the fighter or the manager or the trainer, they want to go a little bit faster and they want to tell you, no, let's do this, let's do that. They followed the lead. They followed the lead. And that got us here. And the timing, he mentioned earlier, he wanted this fight about a year ago, a year and a half ago, and I said, it's not time. Let's develop more into the man. Here he was ready, he was hungry, he wanted to be champion, the dream, but he wasn't yet complete as a package of fighter. Today, I'm fully confident that he's ready. Not just for Gary, for anybody in there. It just happens to be Gary. And I'm proud of him, his competitiveness, because he's a mandatory at the BC when he could have been the mandatory at the BO too. He was right in both. But we went after the BC because he said, Robert, I want to fight the best one in the division. I think it's Gary. I said, absolutely, it's Gary. So that gets us here today. To answer your question, the takeoff Saturday. He has to win the world title. He has to get everybody's attention, the fans, the media, the networks, and the other champions. I'm here. I'm a player now. Like Gary said, not anybody's willing to step in to fight Gary. JoJo wins, he's going to have a title. The others are going to have to step up because that's the big fight. Imagine in LA at the Staples Center, him against Abner or Leo. That's a big fight, either one or both. Those are LA fights that'll draw a lot, not only, nationwide, but worldwide, but in LA, it's a big fight.
You know, that's the positive side of, winning. So what happens if he doesn't win Saturday?
If he doesn't win, he's young. That's where my job has become so much easier in the last few years. My boss is a former world champion, and as a fighter, he won, he lost, and there's not, why didn't our guy win? Why didn't our guy win? The bottom line is, let's give good fights. This last week alone, 4 world title fights, 3 different networks against 4 different promoters. Saturday night will be the 4th. I've heard all the comments, oh my God, Golden Boy's in trouble, they lost this fight, they lost that fight. The fans are happy, let's all be happy that as long as these guys are willing to fight the best and you're not babying them, and when it's their time and they're ready, you gotta fight the best. And if you lose, that's not the end. The 0 looks pretty, but doesn't make the fighter. I mentioned last week in New York, Jorge Linares with 3 losses, and I mentioned it before the fight, is much better than the undefeated Jorge Linares. And I think after Saturday night, he proved me right, because he is a much better fighter. A loss can finish you, of course, but a loss can also make you stronger and make you better, because you can go back and learn from that loss. And that's a good example is Jorge Linares. He lost on Saturday night, but he gained a lot more fans and people that wrote him off before the fight are saying, wow, it was very competitive. We want to see a rematch now.
A couple questions outside of this event, the Saddam Ali fight, Jaime Munguia. Any thoughts or on that, or maybe working with Jaime in the future?
Well, we're working with Jaime, of course. Obviously he wasn't a mandatory, right. So prior to the negotiations of the fight, then you put something in writing to in case there's a rematch or anything like that. You got to we focus. I think boxing is the only sport where a lot of us, I'll include myself, focus a lot on the negative. We're never happy in boxing. We're never happy. He's fighting a tomato can. He's not fighting anybody. Then he fights a real fight, a big fight. He loses. Oh, he shouldn't have fought that. It's like if we had a crystal ball, we'd make everybody happy and not fight anybody. But you got to give credit to Saddam Ali. When the Miguel Cotto fight was announced and offered to him, his dad and him were calling Eric every day, please get us to fight, please get us to fight, please get it. Eric and I were talking, he said, media's going to kill us. So what? They're going to kill us regardless. Let's make the fight. We made the fight rocky. The guy goes and beats Miguel Cotto, where before everybody was saying it was a mismatch. Liam Smith, unfortunately, the fight falls out. Made him a couple offers of other opponents that we mentioned to them. Didn't like them. No. They came back and said, hey, we want Munguia. Wait a minute, why Munguia? We want Munguia, and that just shows you the heart of a champion. I want to fight the best. Okay, it didn't work out. Guess what? Eric told me today. David, Saddam's dad called him and said, hey, get us the rematch. That's real fighters. It's not about the 0, the 1, the 2. They lost a couple fights. Look, let's applaud these guys that are willing. I would love Saddam to go down to 147. He won the title at 54 from a legend. You've written the history. But let's go back down to a weight where you're not giving up so much advantage. But at the end of the day, we can only advise. That's why I said I'm so grateful because they went with the guidance, and that's where we're here. But sometimes you have like, no, we want to do this, we want to do that. So you got to support. And when they want to fight the best, then you can't say no because that's the wrong message. No, you don't want to fight that guy. I saw Munguia. No, nothing special. Big, strong kid, young, but natural weight. And obviously, he went in there and showed more than just a big, strong kid. He had some moves. He actually, on his toes, jabbing, throwing the hook and everything. He has a lot of potential to do big things in his division. But I'd like Saddam, and a warrior he is, go back to 47. And I think he could dominate there.
One other question about something outside of, this promotion is the Matchroom Boxing event or the announcement of their $1 billion deal. I mean, how do you see that affecting boxing as a whole? And are you guys willing to work with, Eddie Hearn and on that platform?
The proof is we've worked with Eddie Hearn in the past. We've worked with Don King right now. It's taken me almost 6 months to finalize the deal with Don. Last week with Bob Arum. This week with Tom Brown. We worked with Sanford Promotions last week. Promociones del Pueblo. We're willing to work with anybody as long as the fights make sense for our fighters and for the fans. If Eddie wants to, I think for the good of boxing, it would be everybody facing their best against their best. And at the end, boxing wins. But I'm not worried. A lot of talk. Oh my God, he's trying to take over the takeover. I agree with Steven Espinoza. Let's keep doing our thing, providing the fights, the best fights. Boxing's better than ever. It's not dead as long as we work together and putting on the best fights.
One question about the young superstar, Ryan Garcia. How you guys trying to slow him down a little bit, or you guys,
the last fight was very important for his for where he's at this stage. It's stages. People forget he's 19 years old, and we're already talking about world title fights, pressuring him. Obviously, every fighter wants to be a world champion, but this fight was important for me as the matchmaker to see, for me to be able to talk to the trainer and his dad and say, look, we got to work on this, and this. I want to see the next fight to see what he learned on the Velez fight going into the next fight. A couple little things that I saw there that we talked about, I think we're going to see him in the next fight. And that's when you start seeing growth. Now, we start seeing the same over and over and over in the next few fights, then yes, you want to slow down because you're not picking up what you're supposed to be picking up.
How about Lamont Rowe Jr., the rematch with Orlando Cruz?
Absolutely. Lamont is, he's fought here. They love him here. Obviously, his hometown. He had a very good crowd. We want to come back to the MGM Harbor here with him. That's the sad part. That's the ugly part of boxing. But it happens everywhere. It doesn't just have, don't go here, don't go there. A good example is Murata fought for the world title in his backyard of Japan, won the fight, and they gave it to the champion.
Well, Pavon has a bad history as well.
Pavon to not catch that knockdown, I want to say, hey, it was a human mistake, right. and I hope that it doesn't happen again. But it's part of boxing, and it's unfortunate because at the end of the day, it's a black eye, and it hurts the fighters. Lamont was devastated, but I think this experience is going to make him grow. We're going to do the rematch. We're talking right now. In fact, I met with his dad yesterday, talking over a few dates. Orlando Cruz has already accepted the rematch, and it's just a matter of getting the fight done in a couple months, and he will be the champion.
Any idea where? Would you bring it here?
I don't. I already have the schedule for the year where it's going. It's either going to be in Cancun, Mexico, because that's where we're already scheduled out, depending on the dates, or it could be in Albuquerque, New Mexico, because of the dates that we have. I don't want it to wait too long, because ideally he wins the fight, wins the title, and defends once before the end of the year.
Okay. Now I know Golden Boy and ESPN. You guys block out.
We're scheduled out.
Are you scheduled anything?
No,
not yet.
Not at this time.
Okay, but something could happen. Maybe.